Hello viewers, welcome back to Afro-Korean stories where dark romance, danger, and forbidden love collide in the heart of Seoul. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another episode. Now, let's dive into today's story. Mia Carter didn't plan to let a stranger into her apartment at 2:17 a.m. She didn't plan to unlock her door for a bleeding man with haunted eyes and blood soaking through the sleeve of his coat. She didn't plan to change the course of her entire life in one reckless human moment. But Seoul had taught her one thing since she moved there 2 years ago. Plans meant nothing after midnight. The rain was relentless that night, hammering the pavement like it was trying to wash the city clean. Mia jogged up the stairs of her old apartment building in Mapo, keys clenched between her fingers, heart racing from a long shift at the hotel bar. She was exhausted, angry, and counting the days until her next paycheck. That was when she heard the sound. A sharp knock, not loud, not desperate, controlled. Mia froze at the top of the stairs, breath caught in her throat. Nobody knocked on doors this late unless something was wrong. She glanced down the hallway, empty, flickering lights, silence pressing in. Then the knock came again. Her door. "Who is it?" she called, voice steady, even though her pulse betrayed her. A pause. Then a low, rough voice answered in Korean. "I need help." Every instinct screamed at her to stay quiet, to pretend she wasn't home, to mind her business like every survival guide ever written told her to do. But when she looked through the peephole, her stomach dropped. The man leaned heavily against the wall. Tall, even while slumped. Dark hair plastered to his forehead. Blood stained his coat, dripping slowly onto the floor. His face was sharp, beautiful in a dangerous way. Jaw clenched like he was holding himself together through sheer will. Their eyes met through the glass. Something passed between them. Recognition without knowing, fear without explanation. "I won't hurt you," he said quietly. "But if you leave me here, someone else will." Mia swallowed. "Are you being chased?" she asked. "Yes." "By who?" He hesitated. Just a second too long. "The kind of people who don't knock." That did it. New York unlocked the door. She barely had time to step back before he staggered inside, collapsing to one knee. She slammed the door shut and locked it, hands shaking as adrenaline surged through her body. "Sit," she said sharply, pointing to the couch. "Before you bleed on my floor." A corner of his mouth twitched despite the pain. "Yes, ma'am." She grabbed towels, pressed them to his arm, then stopped when she saw the wound properly. A deep gash near his shoulder. Not a gunshot, but close enough to make her hands tremble. "You need a hospital," she said. "No hospitals," he replied instantly. "No police." "Then you should have picked a different apartment." His eyes lifted to hers, dark, unreadable, intense. "You wouldn't have opened the door if you didn't already know you wouldn't call them." Mia hated that he was right. She cleaned the wound in silence, jaw tight, refusing to look at the scars lining his arms and chest. Old ones, violent ones, the kind you didn't survive unless you were dangerous yourself. "What's your name?" she asked finally. He hesitated again. "Kongja," he said. It sounded real. It also sounded practiced. "I'm Mia," she said. "You pass out. I called an ambulance anyway." He nodded once. "Fair." She finished bandaging him and stepped back, heart pounding. "You can stay until the rain stops. Then you leave." He looked around her small apartment, the thrift store couch, the stacked books, the faint smell of lavender and coffee. "Thank you," he said softly. "I won't forget this," she scoffed. "You don't have to," but he did. Mia woke up the next morning on her bed, stiff and sore from sleeping fully. Dressed. For a wild moment, she wondered if she dreamed the whole thing. Then she saw him. Jan stood at her window, fully dressed, posture straight despite the injury. Sunlight caught the sharp angles of his face. He looked out at the city like it belonged to him. "You should have woken me," she muttered. He turned. "You needed sleep." She frowned. "You're still here." "I wanted to make sure I wasn't followed." "And no one came." She crossed her arms. "Good. Then you can go." He studied her for a long moment. "They will come," he said quietly. Eventually, Mia's stomach tightened. "Who is they?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and said something on the table. A black card. No name, no logo, just a number. If anyone comes asking questions, he said, you call that. And if I don't, his gaze softened just barely. Then I'll come anyway. He left without another word. Mia told herself it was over. She went to work. She laughed with coworkers. She forced herself to forget the way his eyes lingered on her apartment like it was something sacred. 3 nights later, men in suits showed up at her building. They didn't knock. They waited. Mia saw them from her window. 2 black sedans, engines running, men standing too still to be normal. Her hand shook as she pulled the card from her drawer. She called the number. It rang once. I told you to call, Jan said. They're here. I know. Her doorbell rang. Do not open it, he said, voice turning cold. Sit down. Lock yourself in your bedroom. What are you going to do? A pause. And this. 20 minutes later, the sedans were gone. So were the men. John arrived at her apartment just before dawn. Expression unreadable, clothes immaculate. Not a trace of blood on him. He locked the door behind him and leaned against it like he'd been holding his breath for hours. You could have gotten me killed. Mia snapped. Yes, he agreed. And that's why I'm here. She stared at him. You said you wouldn't forget me. Is this what that looks like? He met her gaze without flinching. I didn't expect to involve you, he said. But now that you are, I won't let anyone touch you. Her laugh was sharp. You don't get to decide that. I already have. The truth came out slowly after that. Kong Jan wasn't his real name. He was known in Seoul as the Shadow Chairman, the man who controlled alliances, territory, and bloodshed without ever appearing in photos. He wasn't the loud boss. He was the one everyone answered to, and she had let him bleed on her couch. You should leave Seoul, he told her one night, standing far too close in her kitchen. Go somewhere safe. And you? She asked. I'll handle my world. Mia shook her head. You don't get to drop chaos into my life and then send me away. His jaw tightened. You don't understand what standing beside me means. Then explain it. He stepped closer, voice low. It means danger, surveillance, enemies who don't miss. It means you don't walk alone anymore. Her pulse raced. And what do you get? His eyes darkened. Peace, he said honestly. Because when I'm with you, the noise stops. The first time he kissed her, it wasn't gentle. It was restrained, controlled, like a man afraid of himself. Mia pushed him back, breath shaking. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to, he murmured. Just tell me to stop. She didn't. Days turned into weeks. Jan moved her into a safer apartment. Not a palace, not a cage, just a place with security and quiet. He never touched her without permission, never raised his voice, never lied, not once. And yet the world around him grew darker. Threats, betrayals, a rival syndicate pushing closer. The night it all collapsed, gunfire echoed through the streets below. John dragged her into his arms, shielding her with his body as bullets shattered glass. Stay down, he ordered. You promised I wouldn't be afraid, she cried. His voice broke for the first time. I promised you'd live. When it was over, when the silence returned, he knelt in front of her, blood on his hands. Not hers, not his, and bowed his head. I will walk away from this world, he said. For you. Mia cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. No, she said softly. You'll change it. And I'll stand with you while you do. His breath hitched. For the rest of my life, he swore. No one will ever touch you without answering to me. She believed him because she had seen the Underworld kneel. And she knew now she hadn't just let a stranger hide in her apartment. She had chosen the most dangerous man in Seoul, and he had chosen her.